you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Friday, May 13th joint School Building Committee and Permanent Building Committee meeting. We are going to start by taking two separate roll calls. I will call the SBC, and John Cummings, chair of the PBC, will call the PBC roll. Ken Aries.
Here.
Lyle Coughlin.
He won't be able to join us today.
Okay. John Cummings.
Here.
Nancy Hyde.
Here.
I am here. Bill Scoble.
I'm here.
Josh Bomber.
Here. Sorry.
Thanks. Brian Baer.
Here.
Allison Borchers.
Here.
Tom Carey. Okay. Chris Coleman. Charlie Donahue. I think Pam is out today. Jen Flanders. Rob Gotti.
Here.
Abby Hanscom.
Here. Good morning.
Morning. Lemma Jean-Baptiste.
Lemma's out of the office today.
Okay. Josepha Jowdy. She was a maybe. I don't see her. Matt Kuklins.
Here.
Carol Lewis. I don't see her. Michelle Miller, I know, is running late. Emily Parks.
Here.
Amanda Phillips is running late, and Mike Powers. Okay.
Don't see him. Michelle's here though.
Oh, Michelle. Okay, great. All right, John, over to you.
All right. We'll roll call for the PBC. Nancy.
Here.
Lyle is not here. Chief.
Morning.
Ken.
Good morning.
Maya.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
Emily.
Here.
Mike is not here, and I am here.
Jessica, I was just Donna's just letting me know that he can't get in. I don't know if you see him on the list.
I don't. I see Tom. I don't see Don.
Maya and John, can I just comment that not all of us know each other?
Yeah, so before we get to that, I just need to recognize the live stream available online at www.westwood.k12.ma.us/live to provide real-time public access to the activities of the Permanent Building Committee and the School Building Committee in accordance with an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. So as John mentioned, this is the first SBC PBC joint meeting. We may have some hiccups along the way, but please bear with us as we work through this. I'd like to start off by having everyone introduce ourselves. To Nancy's point, not everyone is knowing each other or knows each other. So I think maybe just what I'm going to do is just call your name, and if you can just give your name and your role, and whether it's parent or architect or whatever it is, just something so that people have a sense of who you are, that would be helpful. Ken Aries.
Good morning, everyone. Ken Aries, former Director of Operations for the Westwood Public Schools and member of the PBC and the School Building Committee.
Thanks, Ken. John Cummings.
Morning. My name is John Cummings. I am the chair of the PBC and also have been on the SBC since it started 4 or 5 years ago.
Nancy Hyde.
Hi, I'm the former member of the select board and served for 2 years on the school building committee. And now I am here in the capacity as a member of the PBC.
Thank you, Nancy. I am Maya Plotkin. I am on the school building committee and also on the school committee. Chief Bill Scoble.
Good morning. I am the retired fire chief in the town and have been a member of the Permanent Building Committee for about 3 years now and have gone through a building project that was extremely difficult. So know a lot of the problems that come up.
Thank you, Chief. Josh Bomber.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Josh Palmer. I am the principal of the Deerfield Elementary School in Westwood, and this is my 8th year in that role.
And we should mention Josh will be the principal of the Hanlon Deerfield School once it opens.
Ooh,
So
wow.
that's exciting. Brian Baer.
Good morning, everyone. Brian Baer. I've been on the SBC since it started, I guess, and now on the PBC. Been a Westwood resident for about 20 years. Have a parent of 3 kids in the school system, 2 currently at the high school.
Thanks, Brian. Allison Borchers.
Hi, good morning. Allison Borchers. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Schools here. This is my 25th year in the district, and I've enjoyed the SBC process so far. Thank you.
I'm just going to whoever's next. Jen Flanders. I see Jen here, but she's on.
Yep, I'm
Okay,
here.
Great.
I'm Jen Flanders. I'm a Hanlon parent to a kindergartner. Have been on the SBC for a couple of years, and also a licensed professional engineer and do building inspections for a living.
Great, thanks, Jen. Rob Gotti.
Morning. Rob Gotti. I'm the chair of the select board and the newest ex officio member of the SBC.
Thank you. Abby Hanscom.
Morning, I'm Abby Hanscom. I work as the Director of Student Services and functioned on the SBC as a kind of person listening for disability and accessibility issues as part of the building process.
Thank you, Abby. Matt Kuklins.
Good morning. I'm Matt Cooklands. I am the principal at the Hanlon School. I've been in the district for the past 15 years, but this is my first year at Hanlon.
Thanks, Matt. Michelle Miller.
Good morning. I am a procurement person for primarily the town, but also with the school. I've been with the SBC as an ex officio member since it started. I'm also PBC ex officio, and I've worked through 3 pretty major construction projects with the PBC over the last, 5-6 years. And I've lived in the town for about 8 years in the Hanlon neighborhood. And I've been with the town for probably 6.5, 7 years.
Thanks, Michelle. Emily Parks.
Morning, I'm Emily Parks. I'm the superintendent of schools. I think I even beat Allison in terms of length of service. I think I'm at 27 years, long enough that I experienced the high school building project as well. And I'm very excited about this project and look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you. Amanda Phillips.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda Phillips. I'm a school committee member. I also live in the Hanlon district. I have 3 young kids, one of whom will be able to go to this new school, actually 2. So I'm really excited about this project. Thank you.
Thanks. Chris Coleman.
Thank you. My name is Christopher Coleman. I'm the town administrator for the town. And we'll be working for the town in November for 3 years. It's been a great 3 years, and I'm very happy for the success of this project and happy to be part and help out in any way I can.
Thanks, Chris. And then I'm going to go to our design team, Rob Fitzgerald.
Good morning. I'm the project manager for Dorn Whittier Architects. Been working on this project for about 2.5 years, and we are also very excited about the project.
Tim Bonfatti.
You're on mute, Tim.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I'm Tim Bonfatti. I'm the president of Compass Project Management and the principal. Been involved with the project with Chin for quite some time, and the Doran Whittier team, and everybody very excited. Get started.
Thanks, Tim. Brian Jarvis.
Everybody, Brian Jarvis, project director with Compass. Joined the team several months ago and will be helping to guide and oversee the construction phase of the project. Has also worked on the Fire Station 2 project and the police station project here in town. So very familiar with the town of Westwood. Glad to be back.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Glad to have you. I'd also just like to recognize Jessica Cole and Jody Sieberman. So Jessica.
Putting me on the spot. Jessica Cole, I've been taking the minutes for the town for quite a few years with the PBC and the planning board. And I've lived in town, I think 23 years. So, and I have a senior and I had one that graduated a few years ago. So I recognize a lot of you.
And we thank you, Jessica, for all your help in getting us together today. And Jody.
Hi, Jody Steverman. I'm filling in for John Tangerillo today. I'm Allison Borcher's administrative assistant and do HR for the town. And I also live in the town and have a junior at the high school.
Great. Thank you, Jody. Again, thanks to you for keeping the wheels on the bus. So I think that's everyone. I don't think I missed anybody. Well, we have Connor too. I just want to recognize Connor from Westwood Media Center. He's here helping us. Westwood Media Center has been invaluable to the SBC, and we thank all of Westwood Media Center for their continued cooperation, assistance, and everything they do for us.
So, introduce Chin.
Oh, is Chin here?
Sorry, Jessica.
Yeah.
Could Jessica let Dory Parmalee in?
Oh,
I don't see her.
It says Paul Hanlon PTO. I think
Oh,
that's
sorry. There we go. I can let her in.
Great, thank
Sorry.
you.
And
Sorry to
sorry,
interrupt.
I missed Chin. Chin, I didn't even see you there.
That's okay. Chin Lin, Compass Project Management, and I'm the senior project manager. Has been with the project since the start. Happy to be here.
Yes, Chin is the one who is going to save us. He's going to find that little thing and just save us all. So thanks to everybody, members of the SBC who remained with us and PBC members as well. I'm excited for this collaboration. I think it will be great. And
One more person.
Whew,
Dory.
Dory just joined, so that's not really my fault. Sorry, I know Dory, I know you didn't have the link, so that I don't want people to think she's late. Dory did not have the link, so we got her in.
Thank you.
So Dory, can you just give a brief, who you are and kids and what you do, whatever, just intro.
Sure. Yeah, hi, I'm the newest member of the school committee. I also have a 5th grader at Hanlon who is excited to enjoy the fields once they're complete. He's a soccer player. And I also have a 2nd grader over at the Sheehan.
Excellent. Thank you, Dory. Welcome. I think that's it. Anybody else that I missed? No. Okay. Once again, welcome everyone. Chair's report update on project status. So as many, I think as you know, we are about to enter the bid process for the contractor. And I think we're going to talk more about that in the discussion items, so I won't dwell on that. I think that's it for project status. John, did you have anything?
No, this is the first combined meeting, and it's going to get smoother and smoother as we go along.
Yeah.
And the next meeting is on the 24th of June.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'm going to move into discussion items and turn it over to Rob, who has a presentation on those items for us.
Great. Thanks, Maya. So thought this photo was appropriate as we begin to set sail on our project here, so to speak. This is our kind of final meeting prior to going out to bid. So today on the discussion, we've got a review from the Aesthetics and Design Subcommittee. They met recently, so we'll be talking about that. The 100% CD construction documents package for submission to the MSBA. Compass will go over our current status on construction costs and budget management. Briefly look ahead to the next 3 months schedule. And for meeting objectives, there's a number of votes on the agenda. A few of those include reviewing and voting on the Aesthetics and Design Subcommittee recommendation, authorizing the submission to MSBA, and then authorizing the project to go to bid. So on the Terra Cotta review, this was our third kind of get together to talk about the Terra Cotta. In the lower image here on the left was the original Terra Cotta that we presented for review. Many of the subcommittee members thought that this was too red and brown, kind of too similar to brick. And so the next meeting, the group steered us towards this grouping of terracotta, saying, let's see if we can get away from that and have a more of a blend. allowing some, judgment from Dorn Whittier to kind of play around with that a little bit. And so, and then down below, you can see these were previously authorized materials. Down below, we have some stone and then brick to the right. So at our meeting last week, we came back with a number of tiles that we worked closely with the manufacturer on to develop a really nice range of browns and this sort of tannish color but some warmth to it. As you can see, it's kind of similar to the mulch in the background, so it's a nice range of darks and lights. We also brought a tile to show an example of this texture that we were proposing to use. So the tiles would get the texture and then the color. The group really felt like the texture felt a little bit too fake and weren't really impressed by the texture aspect. Really enjoyed the range and the look and the feel of the tile that we had presented without the texture. So their recommendation is to move forward with the full range of tiles that we presented without the texture added to that. I don't know if there's any other discussion on that. Anyone from the Aesthetics and Design Subcommittee that wants to say anything?
Rob, it's Nancy Hyde. I have a question. The way it's coming across on my computer could be a little off, but it's looking very orange to me. Is that how it does look? I mean, can you describe it?
It is. I will tell you that there is a difference in photos that you see on the screen versus reality. And so, in reality, it's really not that orange. And it'll change also depending on the time of day, whether it's got direct sunlight, whether it's got shade. The best way to view these is in person and outside. So yeah, it's the subcommittee felt like it was a nice, warm, earthy tone. And I think when you see it from a distance, it'll look a lot like, cedar shakes.
Very natural looking.
Yes.
And is the surface, does it have a sheen to it or is it dull?
Nope, there's no sheen, there's no gloss. It's more of a dull appearance.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that we were out there looking at it, in the outdoors, and it was really beautiful. I think this is showing much more orange than it was in person. And the combination with the brick and the fieldstone and the terracotta just, it looked really nice. I think we were all in agreement. I don't know if anyone else from the subcommittee, Jen or Brian or anyone wants to weigh in, but
yeah, I'll tag on to that. It looked really beautiful. They worked to get like a custom blend of their standard colors, and also, Nancy, like the bigger the sample size, the more you get the idea of what this looks like. So he had a pretty good size set there, and it looked really nice. And I think there was about 10 or 12 or 15 of us there who agreed. So
yeah, thanks. I just wanted to make sure what I was seeing was probably not the right interpretation.
All right, I'll move on. So the next thing is 100% construction documents package. Our plan is to issue out this to the printers today. They'll be reviewing it, make sure all the pages are there and so forth over on Monday, and then it'll be issued out to bidders on Wednesday, the 18th. It'll go live. We've got a lot of drawings, a lot of coordination. About 20 consultants that have been working on this, almost 300 sheets of drawings and 2,300 pages of project manual. So we'll be looking for authorization to submit that to the MSBA, as well as going out to bid. Brian or Chin, if one of you Want to jump into this slide?
Yeah, Rob, I'll take it. Thanks. For those of you who might be new, one of the things that we've really been working on end of last year through the beginning part of this year is trying to maintain project budget and also create a buffer for bid day. I mean, as you all are aware, the market has just been, super dynamic, and inflation has really hit the construction industry, especially after the first of the year. And one of the interesting things is this is going to be one of the first, if not the first school to actually have a bid open this year. So we've been trying to gauge where the market is. We did an estimate at the 60% CDs. We did an estimate at the 90% CDs, which was back in March, I believe. And the SBC really worked on maintaining costs. We combed through the building and we did, what's called value engineering, looking for ways to reduce or cut costs, either by, eliminating some elements that were perhaps, a wants, not needs, maybe scaling back some elements. We also moved a bunch of elements to alternates, and I can talk more in detail if you'd like about that. But basically what that is those are a list of items that will be bid on bid day, but they'll be bid separately, $0.5 million. And those are for things that pop up during construction, unforeseen conditions, change orders, et cetera. And we have the potential to reduce that. We just use 4% as an example. That's ideally, that'd be kind of like the last thing that we wanted to do, given some of the unknowns on the project. But again, these are some things at our disposal for bid day. Reduce the owner's contingency, same thing. We carry 1%. That's for some additional soft costs during the project. If you need a amendment to door and Whittier, or if you want to add some more furniture or something like that, that's part of the budget that comes into play. So those are other line items that we can manipulate on bid day when we open if we need to move some money around to cover the cost of construction. So all in total, that's around about $2 million. In addition to that, there's some other funding out there that will potentially come to the project during construction. One of them is there's a leftover balance in the feasibility schematic budget phase. So when you started this project, you had a feasibility schematic budget, and that kind of is its own budget. It's a separate town meeting appropriation. That was not fully spent. So that in theory is just kind of sitting there. However, that can't be moved to the construction phase of the project without authorization from town meeting. However, that is a viable option if that's something that we think we need. That's something that we could get into works and potentially transfer that $200,000. And we're also anticipating, based on the energy efficient design of this building and working with Eversource, that Eversource first incentive payment during the construction phase of about $140,000, they give you about $1 per square foot, will be paid to the town at some point during the construction. So by the end of construction, you would definitely have another $140,000 coming back to the town that could then be transferred to the project if we needed it, again, to supplement FF&E at the end or something else. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to get to is what do we have from a budget perspective to account for some of the craziness in the market, and all of these items added up equal about $2.3 million. So on bid day, I mean, obviously if bids come in on or under budget, that's great, and we don't really need to address any of these. We can accept some alternates, et cetera. And if it comes in higher, then we do have some monies that we can talk about what makes the most sense to move around and cover the cost of construction. One of the disadvantages of the general contract process is you don't know until you know. So we think we're there, but we'll know more when bids come in earlier in the summer. So that's something we've been working on. This is kind of the final set of manipulations that we can make to the budget for bid day. And I'll answer any questions if you have that.
Brian, just for perspective, I guess, how big is this buffer compared to, say, what would have been a normal construction bidding environment? Is this larger than you'd normally see? Or
yeah, I mean, usually you have a little bit more. Typically we always recommend some type of bid management strategy regardless of the project, even for some of the smaller projects. I think we had them on the fire station, the police station too. We identified some things as alternates. If the bids come in favorably, you take all the alternates. If they don't, you pick and choose. We do the same thing too. We talk about, can you reduce some of the soft cost budgets? Can you manipulate contingencies? But from a buffer perspective, I mean, this is probably a little bit more than we've typically would have on our school projects in the past, simply because, you know, the markets were a little bit more stable. You had updated recent bids, you know, things weren't changing wildly, you know, 10, 15, 20% from month to month as they were at the end of the year, start of this year. So the, you know, the estimates were dialed in a little bit more, if you will. I mean, I think we have a very accurate estimate of the last estimate was middle of end of March. We've been kind of paying attention to other projects that have opened, not non-school projects, just to see that our cost for, you know, square foot cost for electrical and things are still in line. We're going to check back in this month as well. But to answer your question, yeah, we're trying to create as much flexibility as possible, just given the way the market's been, and it's a little bit more than what we would typically recommend based on the circumstances.
Brian, it's Nancy again. When we are looking at this, and I guess maybe this is for Maya and John as well, is it necessary for this group to give authorization to this schedule of things so that when bid day documents are open, you have pre-authorization, or do you come back? How logistically does this process work?
Yeah, so it's part of the schedule update that we have is the plan right now is that the bids are due in on the 22nd of June, I believe, from the general contractors. So that'll be the all-in price. So we'll receive the the subcontractors pricing about 2 weeks ahead of that. So we'll kind of know about roughly half the project cost. The general contractors will then take those subcontractor values and then put together one final number. We'll know that on the 22nd. The goal is that we come back to this committee with, okay, here's the situation. This is where we're at. We think we can afford these many alternates or not alternates, and we need to transfer money from these buckets. So this is really just kind of setting the stage with some of the options that the committee will have when we open bids to be able to accept the low bid. And right now we don't need authorization on any of this. The goal would be.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the 24th.
Yeah, that's why we moved that meeting from June 10th to June 24th.
Yeah, so I just want to express my own concern about the contingency budgets. And Brian, you spoke to it as maybe not being the first place we want to go. I forget how you said it, but having gone through the high school project, Emily, you'll hearken back to this. The high school project was a very different project and had a lot of other issues that we won't have this time around because of having an owner's project manager, et cetera. But we had to go back to the town for an additional $1 million. And I'm the one that had to bring that to the town and say that that's what we needed. And somebody asked what we would have done differently. And my response was, we should have had a larger contingency budget. The high school was riddled with asbestos that blew through whatever we had remaining in the contingency budget. So knowing how important it is to have that reserve, that, you know, really should be the last place we look.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's
I
consistent.
agree with you completely, Nancy.
Yeah,
we're going to try to keep the 5% contingency fee. And if they do go to 4, we know the couple of places that they really want to look at. And a lot of it is after the new school is built, when they tearing down the current Hamlin school.
Right.
And prior to that would be the ledge. We've ripped down, since I've been here, the police station, the library, and the things that we found when we ripped it down. We had asbestos wrapped around the bottom, 4 feet below the surface, that they didn't find before. So that we are very aware of that. And I am completely in agreement. We'd like to keep that 5% right where it is. And then anything extra we could give back to the FF&E, but in this case, the FF&E will already be in place long before they take down the Hamlin.
Hey, Brian, I apologize. I know that I'm sort of late in the mix here, and so there may have been discussion on this. I've read prior presentations. I just haven't watched all those meetings yet. 2 questions in the first 2 line items on this slide. The technology piece, coming down to align with MSBA. And this may be more of a question for John and Maya, but I'm assuming that the technology that was originally planned is still going to be needed. So how are we reducing that? And sort of a similar question, when you look at, I think it was the interior component, there was some like network switches that were part of that 732. And a similar question, imagine all of that stuff is going to be needed. So, you know, how are we pulling that out?
Yeah, I don't know if Emily or Maya wants to address that, but I think it's just different.
Emily, why don't you know the budget here?
Sure, I'm happy to address that. So Rob, basically what we did was we looked at everything that was budgeted for technology, and we made some choices to move certain things out of the construction budget. And we now have a plan to fund that technology using our regular capital appropriation. And we made the choices strategically so that we are still maximizing the reimbursement that will come from the MSBA. And that's the reference on the slide to align with the MSBA cap, right? So we're going to get the most we can there. But there are actually some things that in doing it this way, we can access what's called E-rate, which is a federal reimbursement program that has to do with providing technology infrastructure to schools. So I think it's possible actually that we might literally end up paying less money for some of these things because we're funding it this way. It does mean that, you know, we're having to budget for it within the school appropriation, but we feel comfortable with that decision. So the technology will be there.
Thank you. Appreciate the explanation.
And I just wanted to add one more thing. I think that, you know, as Brian mentioned, we do have this 2.3 construction buffer, if you will. We did ask sort of what have you been seeing in the market with bids that were out and coming back in. And I think, you know, the answer is they're coming back in higher to the tune of, you know, percentages higher. I think that, so, you know, we are cautious of that. I think we were a little bit at an advantage because we did see that happening in those things happening in January and February, which is why, as you remember, we did the 90% cost estimate, and then we went through that value engineering process at that phase. So we're hoping that that additional work, that additional VE work is going to mitigate any kind of market volatility we might see in the bids coming back. And that was the good work of Doran Whittier and Compass guiding us to do that. But, you know, as everyone's been saying, we won't know until we know. So hopefully everyone just keep your fingers crossed and we'll see what happens on the 22nd.
Brian, this is Brian. Could you explain which subcontractor bids are coming in early and how those work if they're assigned to the general contractor?
Yeah, so we, as part of the pre-qualification process, we pre-qualified subcontractors in all of the filed sub-trades, which is, in this case, painting, all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, miscellaneous metals. There's about 10 or 12 categories, roofing, waterproofing, is a whole list of them. There's a handful of subcontractors, up to 10 in every category, that are pre-qualified to bid. We will not receive bids from everyone, most likely. But they all bid first. That comes in end of second week in June, I believe. And what happens is obviously there's a low bidder in each of those categories. The general contractor can then pick any of those bids. Typically they go with the low bidders. Sometimes the subcontractors might restrict themselves, saying, you know, this bid can't be used by a certain general contractor. I don't necessarily anticipate this here, given the general contractors that we have on board. And then basically the general contractor will select one bid from each of those categories and put that into their overall bid. And then they fill in the other pieces for non-filed trades. So things like site work and the concrete work, framing and landscaping, those type of things that they kind of, all the little odds and ends inside the building, equipment and things like that, the general contractor will provide, and they'll put that into their bid and give you one number.
Okay, so we don't choose those subcontractors, but we will have a sense of how we're tracking with those on budget several weeks before the bid date.
Yeah, we'll have a filed sub bid tab, which will have, here's every category, here's what our current estimate is for the cost of that work. So we'll know on filed sub bid day with, okay, how does the low bid line up to what we actually carried in the estimate? Are we on track, off track? At the end of the day, are the file sub total higher or lower than what we carried in the estimate? So we'll have a sense, a couple weeks before general contractors, if you're not out of the woods right there. I mean, the general contractor come in and be really low and make up a difference if the filed subs are over. Obviously, if the filed subs are under, that's also a good sign. So we'll definitely see all of that. We can send out an update to the committee in advance, just kind of say, hey, here's a check-in where we're at. But yeah, we'll have an idea a couple weeks in advance. We do have the option, if for some reason the general contractor does not take the low bidder and they're not restricted, we do have an option to review that. We can request them to take the low bidder. But it usually does not happen. That's kind of a case-by-case business, case-by-case basis. But obviously, they want to carry the lowest number they can, so they have the most competitive bid at the end of the day.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, I guess, for May and John, is if that information was going to be going out, to all of us, or what the plan was for that.
Yes, Brian, you got that at the last PBC meeting. We approved all the subcontractors and for the pre-qual and the pre-qual of the general contractors. So right. That's in that last meeting. Everybody that we pre-qualified, we don't know who's going to accept.
Yeah, I know, but when those subcontractor bids can come in early, are we planning to send out an update to this group, or are we just waiting till the 24th?
Yeah, we'll have it. It's up to the group. I mean, typically we would give you an update, say, hey, here's where we are as of today. Obviously, nothing is final yet, but this is how things are looking. But I've seen it. I've seen it go the other way, where obviously you'd be concerned if the trades are above budget. I've seen where the GCs come in and the GCs have a very aggressive bid. At the end of the day, the whole project's under budget. So we'll send that out just kind of as a finger on the pulse, kind of see how every trade is doing compared to budget. And if there's any issues with any of those bids, and Dawn, Whittier, and us will go through all of those bids to make sure that they're responsibly submitted all the correct paperwork with them. But yeah, we'll have that update shortly after we open those filed sub bids.
I just want to add a little to Brian. I mean, we've talked about it enough and I think you all know from reading the newspapers what kind of times we're in, but we are seeing now where I think in the prior to the last few months, a lot of subs were kind of getting caught up on not by surprise, but they'd already bid and they'd already made cost commitments. And then all of a sudden, they were getting hit by some of these charges and supply chain issues. And then I think what we're seeing in the last few months is where they're now saying we're not going to get hit by that stuff. We're going to put it in our bids, and there's enough work out there that they can do that. So, I want to just make sure the filed subs represent about a half of the trade contracts, plus or minus. And we recently had a bid come in. The filed subs came in on budget, and then the full GC bid came in significantly over budget. So it's not, as much as Brian says it can go one way, the other way. I don't think you can draw a lot from filed subs. Obviously, it's worse if they're over budget, but I don't think we should either conclude that just because they're on budget that's necessarily it's still going to be tenterhooks until the bid day, the GC bid day. From what we're seeing in the market now, there's a lot of catch up occurring in the trades, and that's really where the issue is. The GC only represents 15 to 20% of the work.
All right,
Any other
questions?
All right, I'll move on to the schedule. Do you want to go over this, Brian?
Sure. And so we've been looking at this over the last 7 months, basically, obviously up to May now with today's meeting, authorizing the 100% CD submission and going out to bid. Bid set is due to be released on the 18th, which is next Wednesday. File subs are due that I think the first week of June, the 8th. GC's on the 22nd, and this group will meet back on the 24th. Again, with the intent of making a recommendation to award a bid. And obviously that will include what we need to do from a budget perspective in order to accept that. From there, once we have an accepted recommendation and a low bid general contractor, the town will issue a notice of award, let them know that, yep, they're low, they're the general contractor. They'll have paperwork and contracts and things of that nature to send back in, all of their insurances and bonds. And once that's received and everything's in order, we'll issue a notice to proceed. And the goal is that they would be able to start construction and mobilize to the site, kind of get things set up once school's out in July, and then start going with site work at some point during July. And then from there, I think we have, the goal is that the new building will be completed. I think in the contract, it's January 5th or January 15th of 2024.
Chris has got his right hand raised, I think.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick question. In regards to access during, as you're beginning construction, would access disrupt or disturb any of the current playing fields?
So on the southern end of the property, there is an access road, which will eventually form one of the entries into the site. But there'll be a fence installed just outside of that access road. So there is going to be a road that's created along that southern edge. And then just north of that is the area where there's a construction laydown area planned. And so the construction aspect of the project is really going to take over the existing baseball field, leaving the playground area that's immediately adjacent to the school that will remain for the school to use. But the little league baseball field will be part of the construction area.
Has that information been shared with our recreation department?
Yeah, we've gone over all of that long ago.
Okay, so they have the dates on when the field will no longer be available for use.
We haven't talked to them in recent, so we could probably make sense to circle back with them. But we had gone over all of the different aspects of the project with them back in the design phase.
If you wouldn't mind reaching out to them just so they're aware of the dates, so when they're scheduling the field use, they have that on their schedule when it's going to be offline.
Sounds good.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Anything else on the schedule?
Okay. All right. Are there any questions on any of the presentation? On the exterior materials, the CD package going out for bid, or the bidding process itself? Schedule. Nope. Okay. Next on the discussion item is the pre-construction survey work. I don't know, Brian Jarvis, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. We have requests for proposals out to 3 vendors. We're expecting pricing in by next Thursday. We've created a map of basically all the residences that surround the project site. So basically the first line all the way around the school except for the wooded area to behind the new building. About 21 homes in total. We would expect to get this work done in the month of June. They typically do a handful of homes a day, and they will send certified notices to all the homes that are identified. They'll actually walk the neighborhood and put pamphlets just so you're in contact. They'll send out second and final notice to get homes scheduled, and then basically do a video survey of existing conditions, both exterior and interior, noting any existing damage or cracks in the foundations, things of that nature, for record. And that way, if there is any perceived issues, from construction activity, that we have that documentation both from the homeowner's sake and from the town's sake. I will say that based on typical blasting best practices, typically the circle, if you will, around where that activity is going to happen is about 250 feet. I think we've extended that out beyond 500 feet, and some of those houses even exceed that, but they're the first home kind of closest to the site. And I think we only had one home that actually fell within that 250 foot range. So from that perspective, we do have a pretty good geographical buffer already. Just to be safe, we will be documenting all the homes surrounding the school. And obviously, if there's neighbors that see their neighbors having it done and they request to have their home surveyed, then we'll do that as well. And we would expect it, like I said, we're expecting to get all those results back by the end of June before folks go away for the summer.
Great, thank you. Any questions on that? Oh, okay. And as John mentioned, our next SBC PBC meeting date is June 24. Big day when you're reviewing the budget. I mean, the bids, big day. All right. I'm going to move into action items. So for most of these, I think we can do joint one vote for the PBC and the SBC. But for some of them, we're going to have to do separate. So the first action item is a vote to approve the SBC meeting minutes of April 1st, 2022. I'll do this as the SBC chair. So doing a roll call, Ken Aries.
Yes.
John Cummings.
Yes.
Nancy Hyde.
Abstain.
I am a yes. Chief Scoble.
Abstain.
And that's it. So we've got, right? That's it, John. So we've got 3 motion is carried.
Ma'am, which
Yeah.
meeting is that from? Is that from an SBC meeting or a PBC meeting?
That was an SBC meeting.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been a meeting I was at, correct?
No, it's correct. Your abstain was correct.
Okay.
The April 1st movie. Yeah.
Yes, the April 1st meeting. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to John to vote to approve the PBC meeting minutes of April 27th.
All right, so we actually have, we're going to vote on the pre-qualification from the pre-qualification committee, accept that by the PBC, and then we're going to accept the minutes from the second meeting on the 27th. Before we do that out, I need to address that Tom Erickson is dropping off after 15 years of vice chair from the PBC. He's overseen everything. He and John Cronin from the middle school expansion, the library, Islington Police, Islington Fire Station, Police, Wentworth Hall, and he did the pre-qualification subcommittees for all that, as well as extended his stay to make sure that we got the pre-qualifications for this project correct. So I want to thank you and job well done to Tom. All right, so for the pre-qualification, the only one here we have 3 out of the 5 present. That'll be Chin, Rob, and myself. So would one of you like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minute.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, Rob?
Aye.
Chin?
Aye.
Myself? That's unanimous. So that moves on. So the pre-qualification minutes from the 27th of April is done. Now, the next one is for the full PBC. We need to accept the pre-qualification minutes from that we just accepted as a pre-qual. So would someone like to make a motion that we accept the pre-qualification minutes?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Excellent. All right, Nancy?
Aye.
Chief? Ken?
Yes.
Maya?
Yes.
Myself. All right, so that's 5-0, all in favor. And then I'd like someone to make a recommendation. We accept the minutes from our 5 o'clock meeting on 4/27.
So moved.
Second,
Ken, thank you. Who got the second?
I got the second.
Excellent. Nancy,
Aye.
Chief,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Excellent. Those are the minutes from the 27th. Thank you, everyone. And thank you,
John.
Tom Erickson.
Okay, next we need to approve the Aesthetics and Design Subcommittee meeting minutes of May 6, 2022. So first I'll need a vote to approve by the members of the subcommittee. So roll call there. Ken Aries,
Yes.
Brian Bear,
Yes.
Allison Borchers,
Yes.
Tom Carey,
Yes.
John Cummings,
Have to abstain.
Jen Flanders,
Yes.
Josepha's not here, Carol's not here, and Emily Parks,
To abstain.
and I am a yes. So motion is carried. And now I need a vote by the SBC to approve those minutes that we just approved. Ken Aries,
Yes.
John Cummings,
Yes.
Nancy Hyde,
Abstain.
I am a yes. Chief Scoville.
Abstain.
Okay, motion is carried. All right, next we have a vote to approve the vendor invoice package for the month of April 2022. You should have received this in your package. The total invoices are $414,000, $392.38. These are invoices for Compass and for Dora and Whittier. Can I get?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept $57,920 to Compass and $356,472.38 to Dora and Whittier, totaling in $414,392.38.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Okay, Ken,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nancy,
Aye.
I am a yes. Chief Scoville,
Yes.
motion is carried. Okay, this is now a PBC vote. So John, over to you.
We have no invoices from the Wentworth Hall, so we can skip that.
Okay. All right, now we have a vote to approve submission of 100% construction development package for submission to the MSBA. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Ken,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
I am a yes. Chief Scoville,
Yes.
motion is carried. All right. Next is a vote to authorize the Hanlon Deerfield Elementary School project to go out to bid. I get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Last call. Ken,
Godspeed.
No, let's do it.
John,
Here we go. Godspeed.
Nancy,
I'm with them. Yes.
I am an emphatic yes. And Chief Scoville.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, thank you. Motion is carried. All right, finally, the last vote's for you, John.
Would someone like to make a motion to accept or authorize the PBC chair to approve the pre-existing survey work?
Motion made.
Second,
Let's take a roll call vote. Nancy,
Yes.
Chief,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mayor,
yes,
and myself as a yes. So that's approved.
excellent. Thank you. Is there any new business?
Yeah, Mayor, I have one quick question. During the construction, I know you're going to be monitoring the houses along the property. Someone going to be watching the school as well? Are they going to be checking that?
I'm looking at Brian and Chin.
We will take care of that. Ken, thank you.
All right. Anything else? 1 minute under.
May I just have one thing to say? That's, sorry, this is Chris. It's actually unrelated to the school building committee, but this is probably the opportune time for me to say it. I just wanted to comment you on your statement at last night's school committee meeting. I thought that was a great statement that you made, and I really think it's really hitting the right vibe for the community. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Chris.
So everybody should now listen to it.
Yep.
Agreed.
Connor, can you put that out?
It's on Westwood Media Center.
There you go, John.
Already is.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Okay. Anything else?
I move we
To
adjourn.
make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right. We have to do the roll call. Ken,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Chief Scoble,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Motion is carried. We are adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone. Have a
Good luck,
wonderful
everyone.
weekend.
Great weekend.
Positive thoughts.